Welcome to this virtual presentation for the Academy Gibson Park Master Plan project. We appreciate your interest in this project and look forward to receiving your input following your viewing of this video. This presentation will be available through the end of the public survey and on the city's website. Comments can be registered on the community survey. This survey can be accessed at www.publicinput.com/W4016. The intent of the Master Plan project is to identify improvements to existing recreation facilities, expand and enhance recreational opportunities, and improve connectivity for pedestrians and cyclists between parks and to other destinations. We will be sharing concept recommendations for improvements to two park areas, those being Gibson Field and the Academy Center complex, which includes the Recreation Center, Webb Field, McAllister Field, and McInnes Aquatics Center. These parks are located on this map as well as adjacent uses such as Gibson Depot, Boys and Girls Club, Clearwater Arts Center, downtown, and the former Barbara Scotia College campus. In addition to plans for these areas, this presentation will suggest concepts for improvements to the pedestrian bicycle system in the Academy Gibson Village and surrounding communities. These improvements will make the parks, greenways, and other destinations in the community more connected and accessible by foot or on a bicycle. The master planning process started at the end of September 2020. Site analysis was completed, and the first community survey was conducted in January of this year. Since then, we have coordinated with other stakeholders, made an initial presentation to council, and completed concepts for the parks and pedestrian and bike improvements along several community streets, including existing and proposed greenway trails. We are now seeking input from the community on these concepts. The plan is to present the final master plan to City Council in January of 2022. From the January survey, we learned about residents' recreational activities, needs, and aspirations. It is clear that residents enjoy and want more trails. In addition to trails, the facilities residents visit most include natural areas, playgrounds, splash pad, and picnic shelters. High on the list for requested facilities are more trails, playgrounds, natural areas, and off-road bike trails and a pump track. With that background, let's jump into the proposed plans for the Academy Center complex. The property at Academy Center includes numerous athletic facilities, including historic Webb Field, McInnes Aquatics Center, McAllister Field, and the Recreation Center building. It also includes undeveloped property at the corner of Cedar Drive and Kerr Street, adjacent to the Clearwater Arts Center, and the property at the corner of Kerr Street and Academy Avenue. The Village Greenway traverses the park property from Academy to the south. For ease of explanation, we have divided the Academy Center site into three separate areas: northern, central, and southern. The northernmost area includes an adjacent park property that is owned by the Cabarrus County Board of Education. This property currently functions as an open park space with a basketball court and a few disc golf stations. The master plan may suggest an extension of the Village Greenway through this property and for it to continue as an open space in the future. This graphic also includes the Recreation Center. However, the expansion of the Recreation Center will be combined with other improvements to the central area. The central area includes renovation and/or expansion of the Recreation Center, as well as improvements to existing fields and McInnes Aquatic Center. The expansion of the building will provide more flexible space, new offices, and support space, as well as a new entry. Associated with the expansion is the removal of the existing parking area in the front and the creation of angled parking along the street. Parking surrounding the building is also modified. Webb Field and the existing grandstands are historic and remain in place, but need some upgrades to address accessibility concerns, including handrails and accessible seating. The field is proposed for realignment, making space for new restrooms, storage, and bleachers. Adjacent to the existing grandstands, the plan calls for new buildings that would include ticket sales, concessions, and storage. A playground for children 5 to 12 years of age is proposed adjacent to Webb Field and accessed from the Greenway. Improvements at McAllister Field also include a new restroom building, press box, and bleachers, as well as trails and sidewalks connecting to the Greenway and a small parking area along Crowell Drive. At the McGinnis Aquatic Center, improvements include a 50% expansion of the pool area and the incorporation of a zero-depth entry splash play area. Also illustrated is a shade structure over a portion of the pool deck. In front of the building, a playground for children 1 to 5 years of age, along with 2 small shelters, are shown beneath large existing trees. The southernmost area is south of Crowell at the corner of Carr Street and Cedar Drive and adjacent to the Clearwater Arts Center. The space is divided by the creek, and the existing village greenway also passes through, connecting to Carr Street. 2 alternative concepts for the development of this area have been prepared for consideration. The first, option A, illustrated here, recommends flexible open space surrounded by a loop path, a shelter, and a pump track on the east side of the creek. The plan also illustrates on-street parking along Cedar Drive. Both concepts suggest a sculpture garden with numerous pathways for placing public art on the west side of the creek and adjacent to the Arts Center. The second concept, option B, features a larger pump track, skate park, smaller open space, and on-site parking on the east side of the creek. Also included in the project is the property at the corner of Carr and Academy Avenue. There are 2 options as well for the development of this property. Option A illustrates a shelter with restrooms, a bus stop, and a mini pump track for bicycles. Option B illustrates the shelter with restrooms, bus stop, and flexible open space in place of the pump track. Both options also include a small parking area. We have identified 4 potential phases for implementation. The first of these may combine the improvements to the Recreation Center with improvements to the Aquatic Center. Also included are parking improvements and the Greenway Trail. A second phase combines all of the improvements to Webb and McAllister Fields. This includes fields, associated buildings, 1 playground, walks, and the Greenway Trail. A third phase includes all of the improvements illustrated south of Crowell Drive. A fourth phase includes the improvements to the property at the corner of Carr Street and Academy Avenue. The survey will ask you which of these phases should be prioritized. Gibson Field is a 2.6-acre park sandwiched between residential land uses and the railroad corridor. The ball field has an important historic legacy. The park is accessed from 2 streets, Carr Street and Ballpark Court on the north, as well as Meisenheimer on the south side. Parking exists at both ends of the park. The drive from Meisenheimer is within the railroad right-of-way, as is a portion of the parking lot. The park also has a small play area and several outdated buildings associated with the ball field. The plan for Gibson Field suggests a slight shift in the ball field alignment to create space for a sidewalk on the east side. A second walk is also illustrated on the west side. These 2 walks will connect the parking areas to each other and provide access across the park and to both playgrounds. Other walks address accessibility issues and provide access to the bleachers. Parking areas have been reconfigured. In addition, the plan calls for a fence to be installed along the railroad corridor. Existing buildings are recommended for renovation or replacement. In addition to the 2 park areas, the master plan also considers the improvement of pedestrian and bicycle connections between the parks and to other destinations along streets within the Academy Gibson community. Improvements include greenways, as well as improvements within existing street corridors. In addition to the Village Greenway and the proposed Irish Buffalo Greenway, several streets were identified for improvements. These include McGill Avenue, Carr Street, Cabarrus Avenue, Cedar Drive, Franklin Avenue, Powder Street, Marsh Avenue, and Beach Street. We begin with Marsh and Beach. Improvements to Marsh pick up the greenway at the edge of the Board of Education property and illustrate a connection to Spring Street. This very wide street has been reimagined to include 2 lanes of traffic, green spaces between the curb and the sidewalk, and the introduction of a 10-foot wide multi-use path. Beach has also been narrowed to 2 lanes, with parallel parking on one side and a wide green space between the curb and the sidewalk on the other. The section for Marsh illustrates the relationships between the travel lanes, green spaces, sidewalks, and multi-use path. The section for improvements to Beach Street illustrate parallel parking along the southern edge and a green space along the northern edge. Improvements to McGill Avenue are illustrated from Central to KERR Street. Both have bike lanes and walks on each side. From Central to the railroad, the street includes a center turn lane, and the right-of-way allows for a 10-foot wide multi-use path on the south side. From the railroad to KERR Street, the right-of-way narrows from 70 feet to 50 feet, eliminating the turn lane, reducing the width of the multi-use path to 7.5 feet, and eliminating the green space on the south side. On KERR Street, the right-of-way is 40 feet, permitting only sidewalks on both sides with a possible dedication of a utility easement. Bicycle share markings along KERR Street are recommended to alert drivers to the presence of bicyclists. It is proposed that Cabarrus Avenue from the MLK roundabout north feature bike lanes and sidewalks on both sides, with the benefit of separation by green space. The right-of-way of this corridor varies. Connecting the corner of Cedar Drive and Carr to Cabarrus requires improvements to Cedar, Franklin Avenue, and Powder Street. The right-of-ways vary between 35 and 40 feet, so opportunities for improvements are limited. Where possible, 10-foot lanes, a 3-foot green buffer, and a 10-foot wide multi-use path are recommended. Future infill developments may impact and create an opportunity for these improvements to be realized. Recommended greenways are envisioned to be a minimum of 10 feet wide with 2-foot shoulders on each side. The plan suggests for the Village Greenway to continue through the park for alternate connectivity to Spring Street. Irish Buffalo Creek provides a primary path from the MLK roundabout to the Gibson Depot at McGill Avenue. Thank you for taking the time to view this presentation. We encourage you to take the survey and register your comments on these plans and recommended improvements. Please go to www.publicinput.com/W4016.